watch has ended. What's going on, moviegoers all over the world? My name is Ryan Z, aka Ryan680.
And I'm steady with the countdown to the Geek Cast. I just can't get away from here, man.
Yeah, you can, man. I mean, this is the anticipation that is killing me right now. I mean, so much. First off, I do want to say thank you for coming by again, Ted. I really do appreciate it.
We had to finish the series. There's just no other way.
There isn't. It just, I haven't even opened this yet because how long? I mean, this game alone is going to take 8 seasons. No, I'm just kidding. Right? No,
8 seasons, almost 10 years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how long it's going to take, guys. Like you're stuck in a game in Jumanji all over again. But so, man, all right. So this is our season 8. Series finale, season finale, episode 6.
Oh, yeah.
The Iron Throne, ladies and gentlemen. And this is it. This is it. Our watch has officially ended. Hashtag for the throne. Hashtag winter is over. I mean, hashtag the war is done. Like, it's just, I go on and on with hashtags right now, but.
Hashtag everything, yeah.
Yeah. But it is killing me right now. I mean, just right out the bat, we just get this intensity already, just the aftermath of the war of King's Landing, and you just see the destruction right where you go in. Tyrion's walking through it, and we see the destruction of this, and wow.
A lot less of a war, like we said last time. It was just a total massacre is really what it was. Yeah. Shooting fish in a barrel, but those Lannisters, so shooting lions in a cage, I guess.
Yeah, man. It was really brutal, and it showed so much in this episode, the details of it. I mean, I'll give it to all the set wise. I mean, the whole setting of it was really phenomenal. I loved it so much. I loved all the sets and everything, and just how it brought the whole King's Landing to life, and how it brought that massacre to life. Because I mean, it just, even the one person that Tyrion passed by, I mean, that was really detailed to the max, I would say.
Yeah, and it's the thing that you always have to tip your hat off to the show is that they don't use CG as much as any other show does. It's a lot of practical effects.
Yeah,
it's a lot of
mixed with
huge.
CG.
Yeah, it's a lot of huge, massive sets. This was an entire sort of block or multiple blocks of King's Landing that they built. Yeah. I'd say it's pretty much gonna get an Emmy for them as far as like set design and everything else.
They should get a lot of Emmys, but okay, so let's go right into it, man. Yeah, man. So Jon Snow, Jon Snow's walking up, and they're executing the Lannister. It looks like some of them are officers, and the rest of them are just regular army men, and just man, with this massacre, I'm just like, Jon Snow's like, I mean, you already get the vibe already, like it's just the intensity of it right into it, and the intensity is this really right? And that's the question that Jon Snow's, you could just tell by the look of his face, like, this isn't right. We shouldn't be executing them. It's already over. I mean, come on, like, it just, you've done already. You killed probably like, how many people? I mean, we never really found the approximate number, but what would you say, like half at least?
I probably would say half, if not close to half of all of the population.
She killed, she massacred.
It's nuts. With Jon Snow, it's kind of a weird thing that happens throughout this episode. Yeah. We know more or less what his moral compass is like. Mm-hmm. So him talking to Grey Worm and telling him like this isn't right, we totally get that. But then later on in the episode, he's going to be talking to Tyrion about what Dany's been up to and the decisions she's made in the previous episode. And Jon defends her for a large part of that conversation.
A lot of it.
So it's this,
even to his sisters too. I mean, he's always defend Dany.
Yeah, so it's this weird back and forth. It's like, Jon, what side are you on, man? You keep sort of flip-flopping on certain things. So not a big gripe. I probably have other things that I think kind of bother me more. But it's just it's weird to get so many confusing thoughts and decisions from Jon throughout this episode.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, if you haven't already, I mean, obviously we're talking spoilers.
Spoilers.
I mean, forgot to mention that. But so I mean, first off, I'm fast forwarding all the way to the. I called it on the very first season of this, and we remember we predicted, we're all like, who's gonna take the throne? I don't know if you remember early on in this podcast. You can go back to our videos, guys, ladies and gentlemen. And I called it, freaking Jon Snow killed Dany. I called it so many times, and I was all like, okay, this is how it's gonna happen. The sad thing of it is, And I mean, you could blame it on the writers, whatever the case may be, guys, ladies and gentlemen. But the character development this season, I would say, was the weakest out of all their seasons.
For sure.
Yeah, and I will say this too as well, is that, man, the show has always been unpredictable, and the fact of the matter is that this season was very predictable. I felt like it was so predictable when it came down. I mean, besides the long night, I would say. But even at that, everything was too predictable. It would just...
No one predicted Arya killing the Night King, though.
Yeah, no, yeah.
If anybody predicted that, I want to know your reasoning, because I don't believe anybody saw that coming.
Yeah, to me, I literally thought Jon Snow was going to do it. And I said it so many times. I thought Jon Snow was, because it looked like he was.
It could have been anybody. Jon was my first choice. I told you that even if Jaime killed him, I would have been fine with that, because
that would have made sense, though,
Jaime's nickname is a Kingslayer.
Yeah, Kingslayer, exactly. So, so going back to to this episode, just, man, I mean, a lot of intensity in this episode at the very beginning, and then of course, they're all like, "Oh, let's go talk to the queen and everything," And right after that intensity, right when Jon Snow puts his hand on Grey Worm, I mean, you just see the Unsullied, and they went, and then I'm just like, "What the heck?" Like they're about to go down again. Like, dude, come on! Like enough people had died already. Like no more blood. No more blood.
It's one of the inconsistencies of the show, though. We keep seeing that. Yeah, a lot of people of Dany's army are dead, and then one of the very first scenes of the episode is the entire army out there in front of King's Landing. It's like, where did you get all those soldiers from? Right, yeah. They weren't there at the end of the long night.
Exactly, and so
it's just weird.
Yeah.
It's weird that it's so inconsistent, and it's only weird because this show has relied on consistency.
Yes,
if it's any other show, they don't pay attention to consistency. Yeah. And so it's not a big deal. But with Game of Thrones, it's unusual for the audience who's been very used to these little details making a lot of sense, and a lot of details carrying over to future episodes, and to not see that consistency.
And that's exactly what I talk about, because I always say it a lot, just like, okay, it's a formula they use, and they've been using it for years and years and years, and they built, and they have a brand, It's just like, it's just like with anything. It's just, you have a brand, you have... I guess you could say you have expectations. The people have the expectations, and now a lot of people are really against this season. We've been seeing it nonstop memes, nonstop accusations, like whatever the case may be, guys. I mean, I wouldn't say this is. I wouldn't say like this is. I wouldn't blame it on all the writers. You got to remember, like when it came down to it, HBO could have just been all like, okay, well, we're not gonna get the same writers anymore. We're gonna hire some new ones. But no, they wanted to end it on a high note. And the writers wanted to end it. They had this ending planned already, and so they wanted to see it executed on camera, on film, and so yeah. I mean, I would say this though, just like we said at the beginning of this episode, was just it wasn't the strongest season, I guess you could say, of the series as far as character development, because that was the main thing with every single Game of Thrones season was character development, man. I mean, we just saw so many people's lives changed throughout each episode. Like literally, it was, I would say, a season, but no, it's like every episode is like someone's changing their character, or you have to make a choice that they don't want to make, and so much, and that choice that they make changes another person's life in there, another side character, and just to see it all unfold, though, it just, I mean, yeah. So we go back to that major scene where they're all gathering and they're cheering on. And see, right before Dany gives her speech, her Drogo speech, I didn't know there was that many Dothraki. It didn't look like that. I was all like, okay, wait, what?
Yeah, man.
I mean, the way, just the logic of it, and then I've never had a problem with Game of Thrones logic until this happened. Season, I'm just like, what? How did that make any sense?
It's weird, and this show, they're like, they're trying to focus a lot less on. It's weird to say this. They're focusing a lot less on logic this season, and they're really just trying to make sure that they get to the crossroads and the bullet points that they need to. So as long as the major plots and the major story arcs end where the writers have been trying to get us to follow, and then they're good with it. Everything else, fans just have to kind of put their hands up and say, all right, just don't even worry about it, or don't even care about it. For example, Tyrion, at the beginning of this episode, goes down to the dungeon of King's Landing, and his brother and sister are under a pile of bricks. Not a big pile of bricks, but they were in like the worst spot in the dungeon because in the background of this entire place, there's like nothing. There's no rubble. There's no fallen debris.
It's just that one spot.
It's just that one spot. And it looks like they only got maybe a few layers falling on top of them. But again, this is one of those things where you just have to put your hands up in the air and say, all right, I'll go with it.
Yeah, and let's talk about that scene real quick. I mean, we did see Tyrion tear up like crazy. And to see and to find out that they actually died, underneath the red cape, I am so upset about that because of just how I'm upset. I mean, maybe they planned it, like I said, maybe they planned this from the get-go, but I hated that because I'm just like, I really wanted to see Cersei and Dany one more time stare at each other at a sense to where like, okay, you lost or you won, or to a sense to where just like, who won, who really won this war, just to see the aftermath of it all, because that's the climax of this series alone. Was the King's Landing massacre, and it was, of course, just the whole concept of all these major characters coming together, and that was the major thing I felt that they lacked on with this one, was just Jaime and Cersei dying, and I just felt like that was, I don't want to say lazy writing, I really don't, but like I said, maybe they had this from the get-go, and maybe it just came out this season and all this other stuff started happening. That's when they signed with Star Wars to do the new Star Wars trilogy. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I just feel like it was a little bit lazy writing. I'll say that. I mean, when it comes down to it, because I really wanted them to succeed. I really wanted them to succeed as far as going into meeting their nemesis, meeting their their enemy head on. Like I said, just head on. But I mean, to see them go out like that, I do see respect out of it though, because just lovers. Brother sister lovers. Sorry, guys. Spoiler alert. Brother sister lovers, and to see them go out because they love each other, and he ended up staying there. But dude, I mean, at the same time, just like, man, why did Jaime leave? Why did Jaime leave? Brienne?
You're not alone, man. I mean, he pretty much went against his sister. She threatened to kill him for leaving King's Landing in the first place. But he seemed to have finally come around and complete his story arc. He's going to fight for the survival of the human race, or whatever race that they are. No. And so for him to just completely do this 180 and say, no, I'm going to go back home, and no matter what happens, I'm going to make sure I get Cersei. It is weird. It's a struggle for the fans to follow. And I like to see movies reach their potential. Doesn't matter what decisions you make, as long as you reach your potential.
Yes.
And the potential to have Dany and Cersei kind of, like you said, face off one last time, or Jaime, we thought, would eventually actually kill Cersei because of the decisions she made, like not surrendering King's Landing indirectly led to all these deaths, so he could have killed her for that. Maybe she didn't want to surrender and she kept telling people to fight. Maybe Jaime would have killed her then. That's more dramatic. That's more of a better ending to their stories than I think what we got, but it's fine. It's fine the way they did it, but it's not the most dramatic thing we could have seen. No,
most definitely not. Because, you gotta remember, though, okay, so, ending this episode, I'm not gonna mention it yet, but, just so at the very, okay, one question real quick. Ted,
ask away.
Ted, one question. At the very end of this episode, after it was done, after you see the end credits, did you feel like this was a good way to end a series? Or was this a good way to end a season/episode?
This was, and to kind of put this all in the context, because I'm going to say some things that people might not like.
Yeah.
This show is one of the top 5 greatest shows of all time. Like,
talked about, I would say, too. I mean, yeah.
By far, best written, most dynamic, most popular, all of that good stuff. Yeah. One of the top 5. So that's we're talking like Breaking Bad, Sopranos, like this is a very short list of like top TV shows of all time. Mm-hmm. So saying that, I just felt content.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some series finales before, and the one that is on the top of my list as far as show endings is Breaking Bad. When I saw that ending, when I saw that ending, I number one went into that episode thinking I have no idea how they're going to end the show, because you have to close a lot of story arcs, a lot of subplots, a lot of things have to come to an end. Yeah, and then I don't know how Walter White's going to make his way out of this. Yeah. So no spoilers. Yeah, but let's just say that the show was able to achieve your expectations and surpass them. Everything that you wanted them to do, they did it better than you could have thought of. And so that's a show kind of reaching their potential in that regard. After seeing this episode, I just felt content. Yeah, I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't disappointed. Yeah, I was just sort of even keeled. Yeah, and it's not to say that we didn't get some good things in here. Yeah, Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage really, when you think about it, throughout the entire run of this entire show, is probably the best actor. Best person out of any actor or actress on the show. He was asked to do a lot, and he actually achieved, and he always came through. Yeah, all these dramatic moments, all these speeches, everything that he was asked to do, he absolutely killed it. Not once did you see him on the screen and you just weren't completely captivated about what he was doing. Even when he's just making jokes, like you're just in love with this character.
What he brought, the presence he brought into the camera and everything, and when he brought the character to life. I mean, even at the same time, just I'm pretty sure you've seen it. We've all seen it, guys, ladies and gentlemen. That we've always seen of where just how like they're talking to. It's like they're so. It's funny because they're all like, "Oh, where do you think Tyrion?" They're asking Peter Dinklage, "Where do you think Tyrion's gonna end up at?" They're all like, "Well, I don't even know." Like, I don't even know I can let go of the character. Like, it's just funny just to see that aspect and to see that they love being that character as much as we love watching them be that character. So that's a good perspective out of there. So I mean, so going back to that, we're going back to the scene where they're all hailing, where Dany gives a pretty, I would say that, as a Drogo speech, I guess you could say, it's not too bad, but I felt like it didn't carry enough momentum. I don't know. It like I said, it could have been just the words they wrote out and everything, but I felt way more goosebumps when it was Drogo, like I said. But it just I don't know. It like I said, just maybe the timing was off a little bit, but I'm not gonna say that it was bad. But I would just say it was meh. It was not bad. It could have been terrible. Could have been worse. You gotta remember that, guys. I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it would have. I guess as I thought it would have been. But
I've never had a problem with Emilia Clarke giving these sort of big,
huge speeches,
profound speeches. It reminds me of General Hux.
Okay,
if you watch The Force Awakens, General Hux has that speech in front of the First Order. Okay, and he's getting all hardcore and stuff.
That's the only best speech though from General Hux ever, though. But
you're right. And see, you're not lying.
And see, we've seen Emilia Clarke. I just feel like it didn't reach her potential. I didn't feel like the speech didn't reach its highest potential, because we so many times in the past seasons we've seen her done great speeches. I've seen her done so many great things when it comes to the speeches and everything, and when it comes down to it, I mean, she's made so many speeches even on her dragon and everything. So just to see that, just to see how this is probably the last speech we're thinking, because every scene we're thinking about, I'm pretty sure you're thinking about it in your head, like, oh, is this the last time we're gonna see him? Is this the last time? Like, that's pretty much what I was thinking. I was like, okay, this is the last time we're gonna hear Emilia Clarke give a speech. I felt like for her last speech, that was weak. That's just me, though. I mean, that's my personal opinion on it, guys. But like I said, it was weak for me.
I didn't think about it too much, just because it was only serving one purpose. And while I was listening to it, it was only serving one purpose, and that was to paint this picture of Daenerys, and she's still sort of out for fire and blood. Yeah. And Jon's just there as a witness, and watching it. Arya's there as a witness, and Tyrion is there, and it's all, the whole point of that speech is just so Jon and Tyrion can have a conversation about it afterwards, and that's really all it is.
And see, at the same time, we do see Tyrion take off his hand. I
love that.
Yeah, and that's pretty crazy, because as soon as he takes it off, I love how the camera angles. It watches it unfold on the stairs. It's going down the stairs. And the Unsullied noticed it, because I'm all like, well, why aren't the Unsullied doing anything? And then the Unsullied start noticing it. I'm just like, holy crap, like something's about to go down. And I know a lot of people said that, or were predicting that Tyrion was going to kill Dany. And at that moment when he got close to her though, I was all like, oh crap, what's about to go down, because he's just staring at her for like 5 minutes. It's just like a pure stare down. But at the same time, I'm just like, I feel like he's staring at failure. That like, I trusted her to lead, to be queen, and she failed. She was supposed to be the hope of us all, the better of us all, and she failed miserably.
Yeah.
And that's what I see in his eyes, just defeat, he failed, and we got another Cersei almost to that certain extent. Except I would say probably worse, because she wants to take over the whole world now and have her decide what, under her rules and everything. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, the writers wanted to close off everything, and they said it so many times that they wanted to close out every single character. And would you say they closed out every single character in this last episode?
I mean, they did. Whether they did it well is another
all right.
conversation.
All right, so let's go back to the next scene. So we do get Jon Snow, the famous scene between Jon Snow and Tyrion Lannister, and that scene is actually not. It's funny, because I always say it a lot, and people are all like, "Oh, it's not an action movie. I'm not going to watch it." Well, I like to call it action dialogue, and it's action with words, and where it's not typically like a fighting scene or anything like that, but it's literally just people talking in a room, and the aggressiveness of the tone of the voices is the action dialogue of it. And I love it so much when it comes to action dialogue, because if you could do action dialogue, I mean, that's really great, because that's pure acting at its highest peak. And with this one, with Jon Snow and Tyrion, it was action dialogue in there. Yeah. There was intense dialogue between them, and just conversating and figuring out what they've done and what to do after this. I mean, the first thing, comes out of his mouth though, do you have wine? did you bring wine? Which I really did love, because that was pure Tyrion, and even from the get-go, from the very first season.
That's what he needs most right now, is just a drink to kind of mull over everything that's been happening. So yeah, and so they go into this deep conversation about Dany, and to see like, would you have done it? I mean, even at that moment though, Tyrion's all like, would you have done it? He asked Jon Snow, would you have massacred? And he's defending Dany. He's all like, well, she's lost everybody. I mean, she's so emotional right now. She's lost every single one that's loved her, that's cared for her from the very beginning of the season. She's lost. And friendship she's gathered, she's lost. He's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think Men's Sunday was the really heartbreaker for her, and she lost her humanity there.
Yeah.
And at the same time, though, Danny's all like, no, there's still good, and there has to be some good in her. And he was just hoping there was some good in her, and there wasn't. And so going into that scene, I did love how the set was. It was like in a small little room, and it looked very appealing. I mean, I loved how everything was. For me, I love seeing like the background of it, and just not only just the actors and actresses in there, but I just loved how it looked and everything. How it looked, it just looked like a storage room closet, and it looked, alone, it just looked brutally damaged and everything. But anyway, so so what did you think about that scene, man? Jon Snow and Tyrion.
Peter Dinklage is the master at this. And so it's just him being pure Tyrion, or Tyrion just at his best is what I think it is. And I always love these two guys on screen. I mean, they met for the first time back in season 1, a long, long, long time ago. Yeah. And so anytime these two are talking with one another, it's always interesting. The dialogue is always captivating. Yes. Even when they were standing on the wall, and Tyrion's taking a piss off the side of it. It's always interesting to hear these two guys converse with one another. And it's never been more important than this. The stakes have never been higher than this right now. So it's just great. It's great hearing these two guys talk again, and it was going to be one of the last times. And
it goes back to the very first conversation they had was bastard. Yeah. He said, bastard, you're a bastard. Own it. Wear it as armor.
Yep. Wear it like a shield of armor.
Yeah, wear it like a shield of armor.
Or a suit of armor, whatever you say.
Yeah, a shield and suit of armor. And so, in all respects, though, when it comes down to it, after that, we do get Jon Snow. He's on a mission right there, as you could tell, and he actually, I don't know if that scene was necessary to see Drogon, the dragon, just come out of nowhere. I was like, what the heck? How long was he sitting there? How long was he covered in because he comes out of that. Is it okay? I was trying to figure this out, guys. Correct us on the comments down below. Is it snow or ash?
I thought it was ash, and then I heard thereafter that it was snow.
It was snow. Okay, all right. Because I was confusing the heck out of me. I was all like, my wife was saying it's ash, and I was like, well, it looks like snow. I'm just like, maybe it was a combination of both. Maybe, probably so.
Probably so.
Yeah,
we'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll get a mixture.
It was snash.
But so going into that scene with the Iron Throne, Danny first touches it, and at that moment, though, I did, we hear the music, we hear we hear the suspense, and at that very moment, I'm just getting chills at the back of my spine. I'm just like, oh crap, like what the heck? Like she's finally gonna sit on there, and then something dramatic happens, and Jon Snow comes in the room and realizes that Danny is, not Danny anymore. She's not human anymore. She's lost her humanity. And to a sense, she's taking it out on the whole world because she's captured finally King's Landing. And just to see like her banners up and everything, and just to see how, her father's, she said she wouldn't even be her father.
Yeah.
And yet, I mean, would you say she became her father in a sense? Or
it's one of those things where I always thought we would see Bran being the one that affected the father. It was almost too certain that there was gonna be a scene where Bran would warg into Danny's dad, and he was gonna sort of push him over the edge into insanity, just like he did with young Hodor. Mm-hmm. And so it never happened. So did she turn into her father? Probably not.
Yeah.
But when I saw her walk in and she did touch the throne, in my head I'm thinking she's not gonna get a chance to sit on it. She's not going to. Man, yeah. Because it was just like her, they call it a vision. So in the house of black and white, I guess is what it was.
Yeah.
It did not touch the throne in that dream or vision, and she ended up walking away from it to go see Drogo and the baby. But in that vision, she didn't sit on the throne either. So I'm just like, oh, it's all playing out. She's not going to be able to sit on it. Sure enough, she turns around. I think she's actually turning around to sit on it.
Yes.
And Jon stops her.
Yep.
So Jon would stop her in the next couple of minutes as well.
Yeah, and we do get that major scene where where Jon Snow I guess you could say just the suspense and everything, but I don't know, it felt anticlimactic whenever he did it. I was all like, okay. I was like, that's it? And I was all like, I don't know. Like I said, I called it in the very beginning of the season. I was like, okay, Jon Snow's gonna kill Danny. And just to see it happen on screen, I just felt like it didn't reach its highest potential that it could have done. A lot of people say they rushed it, and to a sense, I do agree to it, but to a point to where like it should have been like we'll go back to it again like we did in the past episodes in the past that we've done on our review of each episode, was that the battle, two major King's Landing, Long Night, the Bell, those episodes should have been two episodes at least. They should have been 2 episodes each. They should have, just to carry it, the film, and go more in depth on it, on the massacre, and go more in depth on the action sequences. I felt like, not to say they didn't do they went all out, but I just feel like it wasn't, as far as footage goes, it wasn't enough as far as 6 episodes. I would say they should have added. It should have been 10. I think 10 or 11 would have been good for this season. Yeah. So Jon Snow finally kills Danny, and to see Danny die and everything, I mean, just to see her like just blood in her mouth and everything, like dang, I was like, all right, so it's going pretty brutal right there. What do you think of that scene, man?
I kind of see where people are coming from when they say it happened a little bit too quick, or is a lot less dramatic than they had hoped. I had always thought in my head that Jon has reasons to kill her.
Yes.
But he needed something important, something of value to really push him over the edge. And so I had always assumed that Danny would actually put one of his family members or sisters, probably Arya. She would put Arya in harm's way. Mm-hmm. Like Arya would come for her, Danny would retaliate, and then Jon would be forced to choose between a family member and Danny. But nope, that's too imaginative, too dramatic for this show, man, or this finale. So I'm again, just like I said at the beginning of this review, I'm content. Everybody knew Jon was going to do this. I knew Jon, or I thought Jon was going to kill her too, but I wanted something more to push him over the edge. He was still backing her up an hour before he did it. You know,
probably less than that. Probably right after conversation.
Right after he talked with Tyrion,
it didn't live up to its potential. It didn't progress. It didn't have time to develop.
Yeah,
it didn't, and that's all. I mean, that's never been the issue for Game of Thrones when it comes down to. We've never had that issue where it comes down to development.
Yeah,
as far as climaxes and all this stuff, because I mean, just. Development has never been an issue with Game of Thrones until I would say this season.
And I just want a little bit more out of that scene. Another line from Jon saying "I'm sorry," or I wanted something from Dany, why or anything. Mm-hmm. Her saying "I love you" back to Jon, anything. Like, milk this moment. This is the moment that we've been dreading, I think, for most of the fans for 8 seasons. So I want a little bit more, so I'm not thrilled by how it was executed. I'm just content.
Yeah, I know. I could tell, man. I was like, dang.
It was also a little obvious because Jon had that sai weapon on his side, which I've never noticed before this episode.
Maybe he's had it the whole time, or maybe we just don't know.
I would have noticed. I would have noticed because I'd been like, oh my God, look, it's Raphael. Because I said that when I saw him at the beginning of this episode, and he's got the sai on his side. And I was like, oh, look, it's Raphael. But you can comment if when's the first time you've seen that weapon in Jon's belt? This is one of the first times I remember seeing it. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, that's gonna be it.
That's it.
He's not gonna do it with the sword. He's not really a Azor Ahai. We're never gonna get Azor Ahai.
Yeah.
Again, missed potential, missed opportunities.
Yes, and I would say the scene right after that was so dull. It was so weak. I mean, we just get like, okay, the camera goes off, the camera shuts off, and then right after that, it just like, you don't know. I mean, it's almost to a sense they didn't give us enough information what the hell's going on, and
well, we saw hold on, you skipped over all the Drogon stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so Drogon freaking destroys. Okay, that was I would say that's another weak thing too. I was just like, everyone's fighting for this stupid throne, and to come to find out that Drogon destroys it.
As a fan, you either really don't like it or you can somewhat follow the logic, being that had Dany never come to Westeros to try and conquer it and sit on this throne, then she'd still be alive.
Yes.
So in Drogon's mind, and again, I'm not telling you that the show did enough to get this to come across clear. Mm-hmm. So I'm just reaching at the only thing that makes sense.
Yes.
Because we weren't given enough clues to completely understand what's happening. But if you want to buy into what this show might be trying to tell us, is that Dany is dead because of her wanting to conquer Westeros. Like, the entire quest that she put herself on, or maybe it was her brother that really set her up on it. I think it was more than
Westeros, though. I would say, like,
I think it's just a throne. It's just her revenge. It's what it is. This is her revenge. And had she never bothered, if she would have stayed queen in Essos, she'd still be alive and well with 3 kids in the form of dragons. But no, she came over to this land and because of that throne.
I would say that throne's a curse. Like, whoever watched the throne, they keep dying. I'm just like, man. And it's funny because when it comes down to it, I would have thought the same thing too. Like, oh, my father was killed over it. Like, why would I want to go back to it? Just roll over here. It's not like she's not queen. She's queen, but across the sea. And at that sense, though, I'm just like, okay, so, I'm just the logic of it, though. Let's go back to that scene. The logic. Why doesn't he kill Jon Snow?
Again, if I'm not saying that the show gave us all the information.
That's what a lot of people were upset about too, was the logic of it. Well, I was just like, what?
Yeah, all I'm saying is it's not.
Not unless he knew he was a Targaryen. Not unless he knew he was Targaryen at the whole time.
Yeah, I think Jon's been burned once before in the show, so we don't know if he could or not.
Oh, you know what would have been a good twister? What would have been good is that, like, he tried burning him and then realized he's fine. Oh, that would have been good too.
So
it is good to do.
Yeah, take. No, I'm not telling you or anybody else to kind of
take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you guys have to, go by this logic. But if you're trying to understand even a little bit of why he didn't kill Jon. It's because Jon isn't the reason why she's dead. The reason why she's dead is because of her quest to take revenge on her enemies in Westeros. She just would have left them alone. They never would have really came after her to begin with. She has 2 armies, Dothraki and Unsullied, over in Essos. She would have stayed over there. She'd still be alive today. So it's the trying to obtain the throne that really did her in. And that's the only way this makes any sense. I'm not saying the show gives us enough information to actually know that for certain.
Yeah. No, I hear you there. So now there's no Iron Throne. And
gone.
So, it's gone. It's completely melted.
make room for a wheelchair,
right? Yeah, make room. Hey, that that's probably why they did it. They're all like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's go ahead and burn the Iron Throne because we're gonna make Bran anyways, freaking king. So speaking of that, let's go to that one scene where they bring Tyrion in and they're all in a circle. And it's all the lords, and it's funny because to see now. Let's reflect on that scene because we did get the Knights of the Vale. He's actually grown up, and I was all
Ramin.
I was all like, wow, what the heck? I'm just like, wow, just a lot of history right there alone. And then also we get Bran, and I keep forgetting. I always forget that Sam, he's the last of his house. I was like, why is Sam up there? But he's the last of his house.
He is, and then later we'd see him as the Grand Maester, which
the Grand
some
Maester.
people have problems with as well.
I didn't have a problem with that. I was happy. That's probably like one of the happiest moments of this episode for me was just like to see him finally being able to do what he's always wanted to do his whole life.
Yeah. No, I have no issue with him being a maester. A lot of people have issues with him being the Grand Maester at King's Landing or the capital because he's not qualified enough. And so if you're a big time book reader or if you're just a big diehard fan of Game of Thrones, the Grand Maester's like cream of the crop. As far as the maesters go,
I don't think the last Grandmaster was that great ever.
Well, he faked it really well.
Yeah, he was just old. I would say that's pretty much it. And when it comes down to it, they're all just looking for old people.
Well, he was a con man, is what he was. Maester Pycelle, is that what it was?
I don't remember his name, but
he was Maester Pycelle.
He'll be all pretending he's all old, and then the next scene he's all like, "Oh, I'm all active now," like nothing.
He was just a con man. He conned his way to being the Maester at King's Landing. Yeah.
So to see that was truly, truly great. So then now going into that Tyrion scene, so does this answer the question though? At Westeros, did it get answered? Was does Bran know the future? Because at that last thing he says, he's all like, "Why do you think I came all the way here?" And I was all like, "What? Did he know the whole time he was gonna be king?"
Nobody is really thinking that well.
I'm just that logic. I'm just like, wait, okay. So why are you throwing us these curveballs?
It's a bad line. It's a bad line. It's just the wrong thing to say after
being I guess you could say being questioned if you were to be king. Well, or do you want the throne? He's like, well, why did I come all the way here? Just right after that, just
I would almost say anything's better than that line because you're right. We know that he could see glimpses of the future. We've seen glimpses of the future. Mm. He always would say like, it's a lot harder to understand it, or it comes in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
He can't organize all of what he's seeing. Mm. So to me, it's a bad line. It's a line that kind of raises, like you said, way too many questions. Like, what do you mean you came all this way? You knew all this was going to happen?
Yeah.
You've seen all of this?
You should have told us. We could have prevented it all. Right?
It's a weird thing. It's a very strange thing. And I had heard a lot of rumors that Bran was going to sit, that Bran was going to be king.
That's messed up. You can't, he can't sit out.
Yeah, I know. I had heard a lot of rumors that Bran was going to be king, and in my head, I'm like, he's not in my top 3 choices.
Yeah.
I would have said Jon, I would have said Sansa and Tyrion, like, being king and queen, because they
Jon
kind of
so bad. I wanted Jon to be king so bad.
Tyrion and Sansa, they kind of had a thing going in episode 2, episode 3 during the long night. Like they were kind of getting a little bit closer.
Yeah.
And then I would have said like, all right, as a last resort, because everybody else is dead, Gendry, because he's a son of a king, a bastard of a king. So I'm like, those are the three. Anybody else outside of that, I would have been like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So to me, Bran, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Even with Tyrion's logic being who has a better story than Bran the Broken. And I would have been like, Jon, who I get it, the Unsullied don't want him around. But I've been like, Sansa has a pretty good story. Gendry's story is pretty good. Like, if you really like stories, Arya has the best story out of everybody. Yeah, even though she wouldn't want the crown either. Crown,
and so when it comes down to it, it just I loved it because we do see Game of Thrones history here, and that is the new rule is that you're no longer born into leadership, but now you're voted on. Democracy. That's now
it's not democracy. They laughed at democracy.
Okay, they laughed at they laughed at too much democracy. Like a horse, like really get a vote. That was pretty funny though. How Sam was just like, let's let all the people decide. They're all like, they started laughing. Oh, let's get my horse. We'll get my horse to decide too.
I'm like, these are way too many jokes to be like a very serious moment on this show.
I don't know though. I kind of like that little horse joke. I was all like, oh, what the heck? It kind of wanted that comic relief. That comedy relief. I guess you could say.
Maybe, but it's how much relief do we need? Because Sansa's uncle stood up and
man, that was funny.
Sit your ass down,
that was
man.
Funny.
I'm like, yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But that was enough.
She was all like, Uncle, sit down.
Sit down.
That was funny, man. Yeah.
So that was all the relief I needed.
Dude, the whole time he was talking, he was like looking down. He's like, yeah. He was all like, oh my God. If you can't even do that, just sit down. you can't be king. You can't be king of the... Yeah. And so we do go into to this next... same scene was Bran and Sansa. And Sansa's all like, they won't bend the knee for a southern ruler. But I'm just like,
he's your brother.
He's your brother. He's a northern ruler. What are you talking about? But I get it. It is what it is. They want it to be separate for so long. So many wars have been brought up about the north and the south. So I'm okay with that. When it closed that chapter, when it came down to it, when Tyrion said, which was kind of funny to hear, was all hail Brandon the Broken, ruler of the 6 kingdoms instead of the 7, which kind of I'm okay with. I'm okay with that closure because of the sense of where the logic came through it, because this is the logic that's been going on since season 1, was that the Northerners are so proud. They're almost like Texans, they're just so proud and they're just, we should just become our own government already. We do have our own government, don't we? But
it's one of those things. It's another, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Yeah. Because if Sansa's sitting there saying, you know what, we don't want to be ruled by anybody else, even though the guy ruling is from the north. Yeah. What's to stop anybody else from doing that? Yara could be like, well, the Iron Islands want to be independent too. Yeah. And who's going to say no? Anybody can jump ship at that point. Yes. Once you sort of allow that rule to pass, because nobody had anything to say about it. Yeah. So it's just like, really? Dorne wants to be independent too.
I really did not see. Well, Dorne, doesn't he fall under northern? Or
Dorne? No, Dorne's in the south.
Oh, south. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, not Dorne. His Sansa's uncle. Doesn't he fall under the north, right?
The Riverlands there? Yeah. They're in the middle, I guess. They're middle-ish.
I would say that's north, right? Or no?
I don't know. It's
the black, what is it? The Blackwater?
The Blackfish?
Blackfish, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, so, when it comes down to it, though, I'm just like, all right, Sansa's going to be queen of the north now. Okay, that makes sense.
Which is fine. I thought she would be a queen, but I didn't think it would
You thought it was going to be queen of all the kingdoms, and
Yeah, I just thought Bran doesn't want anything to do with royalty or lordship or having any possessions whatsoever. So I was just like, cut him out. But they went against that entire logic. He kept telling us the entire time, I could never be lord of anything. And it's like, well, I guess you can. It's just weird. The show has been telling us so many things and giving us so much character insight and giving us their motivations this entire time. So to kind of flip the switch on some of these guys, it's a little jarring.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm just kind of okay with how it ended. But to me, it's just like you could have wrapped this present a lot more neater.
Agreed. I'll agree with you on there. So now going to this, we talk about that water bottle that was spotted on there on that scene.
2 of them.
2 of them. Okay, what was the other one?
There was one behind Sam, which we saw, and the other one I want to say was behind Davos.
Okay.
On the other side, it was a lot harder to see, but some people spotted it, or maybe there was Photoshop. I don't know.
No, it's probably someone doing a Whataburger. They probably put a Whataburger there or something.
There you go.
If you do not know what a Whataburger is, I do apologize.
Some good stuff.
Right, some good stuff right there.
Oh yeah.
So just. We go into the next scene, of course, where Tyrion is made. First off, Tyrion's made the hand of the king once again. Yeah, which I really I didn't like how Grey Worm was so like, I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. Fast forward, Grey Worm. So the Unsullied were given a kingdom to go rule and die, but I was like, wait, you can't send them off on there because they can't have children, so how are they going to keep the kingdom going?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
So that was that.
It's a big slap in the face.
Yeah, I'm just like, wait, what? Why were they given didn't make any sense. But anyways, so going into that logic, we did get Tyrion again going into Jon Snow's now. It was reversed now. Jon Snow is a prisoner now, and to see this, would you say this was a great closing chapter for Jon Snow's character?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Wow.
It's probably the third best way of ending his story. I would have said either putting him on the throne or killing him.
I to be honest, I really wanted him to die rather than see how this story came about to the ending of this chapter.
Yeah.
The ending of it. Because it was so neutral. It was just like, okay,
yeah,
that works.
And I'm not saying I would have known who was going to kill him, but it just... He's already a man who's already died already. He came back for a reason.
Yeah.
And once that reason's fulfilled, a lot like Beric Dondarrion, then, he would have met his end. Not to say I would have known who would have done that, but it would have been a more tragic story for him. If Dany does die either by his hand or by someone else's, and he would have took the fall for it or something, or if they would have executed him at the end of the show, then it would have been like just like Ned got executed.
See, if they would have executed, they would have been in war again, because the same thing happened where it's all like, oh, if we execute you, Sansa will freaking fight. I mean,
I think there comes a point where you can't kill a queen and just think you're gonna walk off free.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. Yeah,
if you kill a lord, you probably get executed already. But you killed a queen.
A queen, yeah.
You killed the queen of Westeros. So you should. I mean, something has to happen. And so for him to just get sent to the wall and the watch, we know there's no watch, so he's just gonna live beyond the wall.
And it was funny because he even asked that. He's all like, "Is there a watch? Do we need it anymore?" Like, but at that sense though,
it's just a big hole in the wall right now.
Yeah. Oh, they got to rebuild it, right?
Ain't nobody gonna rebuild it. Ain't no giants anymore.
So, in regards to this, I just didn't like how his story ended up all the way to where he started. I'm just like, what? After all that, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking in John's head, I'm just like, after all that crap, I'm going back to where I started. Like, after what I've done since the beginning of season 1, I'm going back to where I started.
I think the biggest issue with it for me is that we know his parents are Lyanna and Rhaegar. Like, we know he's the Song of Ice and Fire. We know he's the heir to the throne. Not to say 100% the story should have been him as king. Yeah. But what does any of that mean then? If the whole show was building up on the biggest secret, twist, the biggest secret or twist of this entire show was Jon's parentage.
What happened? And what happened in season 8?
Well, what can you tell me? Like, how does that move the story in any way?
It didn't,
and it doesn't,
because they even gave us hints on it in the Long Night when they were talking about it, and even Dany was shocked about it. So like, that means they're the true heir to the Iron Throne, and then to find out. It meant nothing.
Yeah.
All that meant nothing.
If you want to dissect it, that's a good thing to bring up. But it's even the wrong question that Danny should be asking. Yeah. If you're Danny and you just realize that Rhaegar ran off with Lyanna, married her, and had a kid, then you're in the entire last 25, 30 years of war has all been a lie. Danny didn't have the right information to begin with.
Yeah.
She should now be thinking, I lost my family. I lost we lost our castle. We fled to Essos.
Yeah.
All because these two loved each other. Everything is a lie now.
Yes.
And she should have maybe had that revelation at some point. I've been doing all this for nothing. I came to get a throne that was sort of given away.
Yeah.
Rhaegar threw the throne away.
Yes, yeah.
He threw the throne away for love. And so she should have had that moment at some point and said, why the hell am I doing this? My brother ran away from the throne. He ran away and broke everything. And
I'm agreeing with you 100%, man. I'm totally agree with you.
I kind of just had this thought right now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. So I'm totally agree with you on there. I've been meditating over this over and over. It was the climax and the ending of this show and how it ended. But before, I guess you could say before we get to that, we did see all the kids back together again. Jon Snow with Sansa, Arya. To see Arya go east, right? She went east, right?
West.
Or west, I'm sorry.
West of Westeros.
West of Westeros.
Westeros.
What's west of Westeros?
No one knows.
No one knows.
Which, I don't know about this.
So they leave. It's just almost to a sense where they leave cliffhangers. And I'm just like... Why you leave? Okay, you're supposed to close off every single chapter or for every single character. Why are you leaving us with openers? I guess to a sense, but and even a lot of people were all like, they're gonna have an Arya spinoff, and HBO was all like, no. HBO had to release a statement. That's how popular it was. HBO had to release a statement saying, no, we're not having an Arya spinoff show. Well, then why'd you lead us onto that?
If HBO wants to make money, they will.
Yeah, they will, right? So
anything's possible.
Yeah. So it's going back into
Veronica Mars came back after 10 years. Anything's possible, I guess.
Yeah. So going back into this logic, Jon Snow actually he doesn't do the end. He doesn't do the Night's Watch. He actually goes to the north with Tormund, which I'm actually okay with to a certain extent, to where the writers ended this story, Jon Snow's chapter. I'm actually okay with him going up to the north instead of staying at the Night's Watch, because it kind of would have been very dull if he would have just stayed there. I felt like, and then also finally people saw him actually pet his pet now. Which a lot of people
it's one of the very few redeeming qualities about this episode is that he's finally hugging Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost.
And it's that's how much that's how
they wanted it earlier.
The fans are.
Yeah.
Is that this is what we're settling for?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird, and it's
and Sansa, the Queen of the North, they were chanting it out over and over, Queen of the North. And so before fast forwarding gets to that very last scene of Jon Snow, I guess we could go back down to the new Hand of the King and the new Ice and Fire. Was it Ice and Fire song? Right? I think it's called the Ice and Fire song.
I'm not sure. Song of Ice and Fire?
Book? Yeah, the book, yeah.
Yeah, Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, that's the book. Yeah, the book. A Song of Ice and Fire. And to go back into it, it's funny how Tyrion's not even mentioned. I was like, dang. I was like, dissed, rowdy. I was like, dude, Tyrion's the major, he's a major character in this story. And didn't even put him in there. I was like, dang. And Sam was just like, yeah.
Oops.
Oops. Yeah, and he didn't put you in there.
That sucks. That's bad.
Yeah.
One of the greatest stories ever told, and you're not in it.
You're not in it. Yeah, exactly.
Even though you had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, this is what they're going to preach, and they're going to teach history of Westeros and everything. Exactly how it started, exactly how it happened. Now, going into that, we do get who's on the new board? I guess you could say
Bronn.
Yeah.
Bron's on the council now.
Is it pretty ironic how he's the master of coin, and he's the master of He's the Master of Coin, and he's also the Lord of
High Garden.
High Gardens.
Which we knew that was going to happen, so no issue with that.
He was promised that already, yeah.
Yeah, but to make this guy the Master of Coin, has he shown us any sort of skills?
He always loses money.
Yeah.
He always loses the money.
This is a bad idea.
He already said it already. He's all like, Master of Coin does not have any coin to offer the ships.
Yeah.
But we do have coin to offer for the brothels. No, and then Sam was all like, I don't agree with that. And he's like, well, have you ever been to been to a nice brothel? And of course Sam's like, no, he's like, I have more respect for women. He's all like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that. But it's funny to see that. I mean, just to see them, I guess, I don't want to say argument, just have like a little good conversation. And then another cliffhanger plot hole, which I did not like, which led me on a lot. Was they make her oh my gosh, what's her name, Brienne. They make her not that scene, but they actually make her finally Kingsguard.
Yeah.
And then Podrick became Kingsguard too.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's good. That's some good high praise right there. I'll agree with that. And then also the next thing, which leaves a plot hole and a cliffhanger, was they asked, all hell, Bran the Broken. Now Bran asked, I guess I forgot who mentions it. I can't remember if it's Tyrion or not, but they asked, where's Drogon? Where's Drogon? They said he was headed to.
That's what Bran asked. He said, "Where's any word on Drogon?" And
they said he was heading.
Sam said he was just heading east.
East. And so many rumors are saying, oh, maybe he's going back to where the Targaryens' home, where she was born at, and she's heading there. At the same time, right after that, what does Bran say?
He said, I see we don't have a master of whispers or a master of laws and a master of war. And why is this in the show?
Yes.
We know you can see everything that's happening. So you don't need a master of whispers. You don't need a master of war because there's peace across the land now.
And at the same time, right after that, he does say, ladies and gentlemen, well, y'all handle all that and I'll handle the dragon. Yeah. And then he was like, oh no,
I'll see if I can find him.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find him. So that just leaves so much of a like, wait, what?
It doesn't make any sense.
Obviously you can still control animals to a certain extent, right? I mean, he has to.
We've only seen birds, I think.
No. He's done ghost. The wolves. He's done the dire wolves.
Nymeria? No, that's Arya's.
Yeah,
Summer.
He's done his own. So
I think Summer. Yeah.
Yeah. So in regards to that, so I'm assuming that he could do any animal now. To a certain extent, he has to connect with them. He has to use his full potential.
Everybody was hoping to see him work a dragon. Never happened.
And at that sense, and that logic, though, it's almost like it was giving us that, like, oh, hey, by the way, we're not ending the series anymore. He's gonna try to get the dragon. And it's funny because even the Master of Coin, he's like, oh no, keep that guy far, keep the dragon far away. We don't want to deal with any dragons. But I didn't like that plot hole at the end.
It's not a plot hole. It's not a cliffhanger. It's just weird writing. Yeah. It's not going to lead to anything. And we know it's not going to lead to anything. I kind of attribute it to Chris Nolan's Dark Knight Rises. At the end, you see Robin swinging into the cave. And, he goes up on the platform and you know what's going to happen, but we will never see it.
We'll never see it, yeah.
But this is just writing that is confusing because you know there's nothing after this.
Well, that's another story because he just put Robin just for the fans because a lot of people are all like, is he? But his name and it's a good homage. It was a good, like, okay, guys, all right, I'll let it slide. Or I'll put it was his middle name too. So, but anyways, so. Yeah, I just a lot, closer. Would you say this was a good episode? I don't know. I already asked you already, but yeah. What would you rate this episode? I guess you could say.
Oof, episode.
1 out of 10, man. 10 being the highest.
Honest.
I'm gonna give this a 6.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm gonna give this a 6.
No, and I probably would do the same.
The same. Okay.
Yeah, 10 would be perfect, beyond my expectations. Yeah. 9 would be, slightly above expectations. 8 would be meeting my expectations. 7 would be slightly under. 6 is just right. You know, you don't get enough of a completion sort of feeling for the fans, and it wasn't. There's just a lot of dialogue is weird, man. Yeah. A lot of the scenes are clunky. It's just you just kind of wish that the show, I said it earlier, would meet its potential. You know, no matter what the decision was, and then just to pick Bran. I'm not saying it's a terrible choice. I know I kind of sound like that, but if your only reason to pick Bran is because it's a good twist, then I'm like, that's not earned.
Not just that, but it's because he won't have kids. He won't have bastard kids, spoiled kids.
You could have picked Grey Worm. He ain't gonna have kids either.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean,
no, Grey Worm's not a good choice. I'm just saying. I think the only reason why they picked Bran, or maybe George R. R. Martin picked Bran, we still don't know how the books are gonna end.
Yeah, exactly.
But the only reason why they picked him is because it's a good twist.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, that's not enough. You can be predictable if all signs point to something.
Yes,
like all signs pointed to Jon Snow.
It's really, and I felt like they wanted to do a twist, but very quickly. Instead of having it develop like they've always done it, they wanted to do it very quick within the 6 episodes, and they were trying to do that. And we're all like, but at the same time, though, when you at the last season, when you pump up the season before, you pump up saying, Jon Snow is actually a Targaryen. When you pump it up so much and just like he's the true heir to the Iron Throne. Even Bran says at the very last episode of last season was he's the true heir of the Iron Throne to Sam. And that suspense, and then come to find out it really was, that didn't mean anything. It was worth nothing. Just to lead up on, just to lead the audience on and everything. But I mean, take our advice with a grain of salt. I mean, maybe you get some point of views out there. Maybe you thought of something very totally different from us. That's awesome, guys. Put on the comments down below. But it didn't work for us, I would say.
I mean, if you loved it, that's fantastic, and it's your.
We're not saying we hated it. We're not hating it on it whatsoever. We just felt neutral. We felt content. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. I don't hate this episode.
The show figured out how to end it.
Yeah, that was it.
That was the only thing they accomplished.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for watching our video, guys. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. You know you want to. Steady, always a pleasure, man. I appreciate it, bro.
Definitely.
Yeah. If you haven't already, guys, I'll put down the link as well below. Countdown to the Geekcast, guys. They're locally here in San Antonio as well. I'll put on be sure to subscribe to them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. Ryan680,
and I'm Steady with the Countdown to the Geekcast. Have a good night.
Yeah. Have yourself a wonderful night, guys. And all Game of Thrones fans, hopefully it's not over. Or is it?
Dun dun dun.
Right. Get up now.